Hello, welcome to Cooking with Anand. Today, I'm going to be making a lot of yummy food for my family in Thanksgiving. And I'm sorry I've been a little bit slow on the videos. It's because my sister has been gone and she has come back from college. So, now she can tape my videos again. So, I have this big block of cinnamon roll dough, and I made it using Laura Vitale's cinnamon roll recipe because it turns out perfect every time. It is a little bit tedious, but it is very yummy. So in this I put a quarter cup of warm water. It was 105 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, and you activate it with 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, which is equivalent to 1 package, and I added a little bit of sugar to activate the yeast, and I waited for about 5 minutes until the yeast got all foamy. Then I added in 3/4 cup of milk, a 1/4 cup of butter, an egg, and then I stirred that in, and then I added a 1/4 cup of sugar and 4 cups of flour. Then I kneaded it for a while, and then I put some oil over it and made sure it was smothered all over the dough. And then I covered it with the bowl I was mixing it in because that just seems like the easiest way to let it rise. So now this has been rising for an hour and a half, and it's doubled in size. We live at a higher altitude, so it takes less time for it to grow. If you live in a less high altitude, then you should probably let it sit for about 2 hours. Now I'm just gonna knead the dough and take all the air out of it so it's all deflated, and this dough is so soft. And once you've taken all the air out of it, then you're gonna take your rolling pin and roll this dough out, and you want to try to roll it till it's about a 15 by 9 inch. When you're rolling out your dough, you want to make sure that it's the same thickness all the way through. It should be about 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch thick. And now I'm going to put in the cinnamon and sugar. But first, I have to say something. When I usually make this Laura Vitale's way, when you spread room temperature butter on this and then you sprinkle on the sugar and cinnamon, a lot of the times half the sugar and cinnamon mixture gets dumped on the counter and it doesn't really get used. So this time I've creamed the butter and the sugar together so that it'll stick better to the dough, and I'm hoping that'll help. And it was 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of white sugar, and 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. And then I had 1/3 cup of room temperature butter that I creamed with that. So now I'm just going to spread this on and try to make it an even coat. Now, starting from the long side, I'm going to tightly roll the cinnamon roll. And like I said, you want to do it from the long side, not the short side. And you want to make sure you do it very tightly. You want lots of swirls in your cinnamon roll. We are back, and I just rolled my cinnamon rolls and cut them into 16 equal pieces. So we have 12 in this one and 4 in this one. And I put them in a liberally buttered baking sheet. They have to be really well buttered because the cinnamon rolls will stick if you don't butter them. If you do, it'll just come out easy peasy. So, as you can see, there's no mess on the counter of brown sugar and cinnamon. So, creaming the butter and the sugar before adding it to the cinnamon rolls was a good idea because all of it made it into the cinnamon rolls and didn't fall out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cover these with a damp towel, and they have to rise again for about an hour and a half until they get significantly bigger. The cinnamon rolls have been put in their baking dishes, and I covered them with a towel, and these towels are slightly damp, and the towel is just so that insects or bugs can't get into the cinnamon rolls while they are resting, and they should rest for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, I'm going to make the frosting. I've already gotten started. Here in this bowl, I have a 1/4 cup of cream cheese, 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar, and a tablespoon of butter with a little splash of vanilla. And this is like a thick frosting right now, but we want it to be like a runny glaze. So, I'm going to add in some milk. I'm about a tablespoon at a time. And you just have to add the milk into the frosting until the frosting has reached a nice runny consistency. And it should take about 3 to 4 tablespoons of milk. Okay, so my cinnamon rolls have risen, and now I'm going to put some melted butter on top of them. I'm just using a pastry brush and spreading it. This is a 1/4 cup of melted butter. I know it seems like a lot, but this is going to help impart a lot of flavor into the dough, and it's going to help the dough get really, really brown on top and be really pretty, and it's also going to help make the cinnamon rolls really nice and fluffy. So these cinnamon rolls are going to bake in a 350-degree oven for 30 to 35 minutes or until they're nice and golden brown on top. Then we can eat them, and as soon as they come out of the oven, spread the icing on them. Okay, I pulled the cinnamon rolls out of the oven, and by the way, it smells heavenly in the house. These things smell so good, and they are nice and golden brown, and so I'm going to top them with this glaze that we made. And as you can see, it's really runny, and it's perfect to go on top of the cinnamon rolls and just pour it all over. There's plenty for all of them to share. Also, I'm going to get some on these ones too. And you want them to be just golden at the top, and so the top is going to be kind of crunchy and buttery, and the rest of it's going to be really fluffy. Oh, these things are gorgeous.